This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is July 17th, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, we survived Summer League, man. What is going on?
That was very brutal, and admittedly, I did not watch a minute of Saturday night's game. I really hats off to you and producer Kevin for holding it down on playback. I didn't want to do it. I really didn't, Jonathan. I know you guys didn't want to do it, right? Like, there's no way you wanted to. I'm just happy that it's over.
Yeah, it was not great. We'll get into a breakdown here in just a moment, but yeah, let's see who was out in that game. Anthony Black, Jet Howard, Kevon Harris, Caleb Houston, Tiger Campbell didn't play, DJ Wilson didn't play. It was just like, there was 20 guys on the roster, and it was like the 13 or 14 guys that we knew didn't have a chance to make the roster. And the Magic actually had like an early lead in that game, and then the Celtics just started making threes. And the crazy thing is, it felt like they made so many threes. They shot 12 of 35, good for 34%. The Magic 11 for 40, good for 27%. It was just one of those games where, like, the Magic, again, tell me if you've heard this before, just got outmathed. Like, neither team was shooting a great percentage. Boston just able to do a little bit better of a job. And yeah, I've never been more relieved for Summer League to come to an end than
my mom calls me today, and she keeps up with Magic basketball, patron of ours, right? She keeps up with Magic basketball loosely, right? Like, she'll ask me for the analysis and, what do we think of this and that. She calls me today, and we're just having a conversation. She was like, "What do you make of the Magic Summer League?" She was like, "That was terrible." And I was like, she was like, "Should we be worried about next season?" And I was like, "Mom, no, they don't correlate. They really don't. Would we have loved for Anthony Brown and Jet Howard to carry this team to a couple wins? Absolutely. But those other games, that was not their doing. Not their doing at all. It does not mean anything. We didn't care. There's nobody on that Summer League roster aside from AB, Jet, Kevon Harris that we really project, and Caleb Houston, to be on this roster in the upcoming season. So for those of you out there that are wondering, no, there's no alarms being sounded from the defeated Summer League campaign.
Yes, Mrs. Sylvia, you can relax. This is not an indictment on the upcoming Orlando Magic season by any means, but the Magic do go 0-5 this Summer League, this Las Vegas Summer League, and 3 of those 5 were blowouts. The first one wasn't super close, and then that third game against the Knicks, that went into overtime, that was really the closest game that the Magic had in Summer League. But yeah, once Anthony Black, Jet Howard were shut down, and it was evident that there wasn't going to be, Kevon Harris or Caleb Houston, my interest level went out the window pretty much, just because, really none of these guys have a chance to make the roster. Maybe a two-way, and we'll talk about that, I guess, a little bit here. Are there any guys from this roster, Luke, that you would want or you could see getting a two-way contract for the Magic? So just to go through like the leading scorers, I know we're not going to put a ton of stock in this, but the leading scorers this year from the Orlando Magic Summer League: Kevon Harris, who played 1 game, 21 points per game; Caleb Houston, who played 2 games, 15 points per game; Jet Howard played 3. He had 13 points per game, shot 38%, shot 40% from behind the arc, added 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and a little bit over a steal. Anthony Black in 3 games, 11 points per game, 8.7 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, shot 40% from the floor. So those are your leading scorers, and they didn't play. Half of those guys didn't play most of the summer league. Dexter Dennis is the next guy. Played 4 games, averaged 19 minutes a game, 9 points, shot 42% from the floor, almost 36% from behind the arc, 3 rebounds a game, a half assist, and a steal. If I was going to say anyone, it would be Dexter Dennis. Yeah, I mean, 6'5", a guard. Are we going to add another guard to this team? I really don't know. You already have Kevon Harris on a two-way who is a guard. This is a team who is very guard heavy. If you're going to bring somebody in on a two-way, it feels like you're going to bring in a wing or a big.
Yeah, I mean, the answer for me emphatically is no. But let's be honest. I mean, I think it speaks volumes of Kevon Harris and the way that he gets brought onto this roster initially, right? Makes his way, becomes a two-way, and then just proceeds to ball out in the G League and ball out in Summer League. I'm not convinced that any of these guys are going to be balling out in the G League besides Kevon Harris, right? Like those guys that would play for the G League or hypothetically get the chance. Kevon Harris would be the only one, because he's done it, that I really believe could do that in the G League that isn't already signed to a spot for this team. So the answer for me is definitely no. I'd rather look around. Unfortunately, digging up stats for Summer League is proved to be one of the hardest tasks in the world, maybe. I don't even have the time to look up a lot of like the, under the radar guys that aren't rookies that people are writing articles about that we could add to this team. Luckily, we have scouts on the Orlando Magic that do a great job, and they're going to find guys to put on those two ways. Because you got 2 more slots to fill, I think. So I don't know if it's really buddy. Luckily, the Magic are in a spot where I don't really feel much importance to the two ways. They're more important to the players than to the team at this point. I would venture to say you've got so much depth on this team. If we got two-way guys getting minutes next year, there's been a huge problem, and more changes need to happen. So I'm not really losing sleep over the two-way spot.
I found that actually Real GM is like the best place to find Summer League stats. Like I pulled up the 2022-2023 Minnesota Timberwolves not G League, Summer League stats, because Kevon Harris played for the Minnesota Timberwolves last year in Summer League, and in 5 games he averaged 27 minutes, 15.8 points, 57% from the floor, 45% from behind the arc on almost 5 attempts a game, added 2.8 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. If you're going to make it from a Summer League team to a two-way, those are the kind of numbers that you need to put up, like big scoring numbers on really good efficiency, filling up the stat sheet. So I think if the Magic are going to bring in somebody to a two-way from Summer League, it's not going to be from the Magic roster. It's going to be from another team. Mm-hmm. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I would be a little bit surprised if it was anyone from this Magic Summer League team.
Yeah.
Luke, in other news, we got trade news on the Orlando Magic today, just about noon time, 12:30, I guess, just after noon. On Sunday, Adrian Wojnarowski reported that the Orlando Magic were sending 3 future second-round picks to the Phoenix Suns for a 2026 pick swap in the first round. So for those of you and like Luke and I who have been critical of the Magic in the past for not using their second-round picks and usually just trading those away for cash, this is the Magic sort of, using their second-round picks and for what might be a good reason. So the compensation, it breaks down as a 2024 second-round pick, actually via Denver, a 2026 second-round pick, which is the least favorable of Detroit, Orlando, or Milwaukee, and then a 2028 Boston second-round pick if it falls between pick 46 and 60. Who knows what's going to happen 5 years from now with that pick? But we'll see if that even ends up conveying. So the Phoenix Suns actually owe the Washington Wizards in the Bradley Beal trade, I believe, a 2026 first round pick swap as well. So basically what is going to happen is Washington kind of has first dibs on that pick swap with Phoenix. But if Washington is worse than Phoenix, they can decline the pick swap. And then it will come down to Orlando, just whether or not they want to pick swap with the Phoenix Suns. So again, the Magic, who historically with this front office, with Jeff Weltman and used to be John Hammond and is now Anthony Parker, they don't really use those second round picks a ton. So this is them putting those to use, I think, over the course of the next, 6 years? I believe the Magic had 8 first round picks and like 12 second round picks. Not able to find that right now. I don't know if it was Woj
that's correct,
or Shams that tweeted that out. But yeah, over the next 6 years, 8 first round picks, 12 second round picks. So for having an abundance of second round picks that you're probably not going to use anyways, this is at least a way to get something out of those.
Yep. And then also just a side note, really, for Bol, who obviously, for those of you who didn't see or saw the trade, is on his way to Phoenix. And good for Bol. The contract, the deal is fully guaranteed. What was reported as well. So
he's just going there as a free agent.
Right. Yeah. So he's good to go, and he's going to be in Phoenix. It is going to be interesting. What did I read before we started, Jonathan? They have like 8 or 9 minimum deals or something like that. The Suns do now behind the deals they've already got. Well, obviously, the Suns currently have 11 players on minimum deals behind Woj says they're 4 stars. So that's crazy. That's insane. In this deal, the Suns really are betting on themselves, and the Magic are betting against them. So we'll see who comes out on top. The Magic don't have nearly, as funny as it is to say this with the roster, with like the stars that the Suns have, the Magic are not going to sweat this deal as much as maybe the Suns could. We'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, I think part of it is just like they're allocating so much money to that trio, Booker, Beal, KD, that those second, like especially early second round picks, become super valuable to contenders, like hoping to find like diamonds in the rough on really, really cheap deals. For the Magic, like Jeff Weltman sort of hedging a bet against Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant working out in Phoenix. Like how much has Kevin Durant been? I mean, he requested a trade over a year ago, before he got moved this summer. So who knows how well that's going to go? Like, was in Golden State, obviously. I mean, was in Oklahoma City and had the world at his feet. Wasn't happy there. Went to Golden State, won 2 titles. Still wasn't happy there. Went to Boston, or not Boston. Went to Brooklyn. Wasn't happy there. Now he's in Phoenix, and there's no guarantee that team is going to win. Like Bradley Beal has shown absolutely no ability to win at a super high level in the league. Now you could say that had a lot to do with the teams that he was on, but hasn't proven to like be a deep playoff contributor. Kevin Durant hasn't really shown the ability to stay healthy, the last several years. And, Devin Booker to me is really the only guy on that team that I feel like it is super reliable at this point when you factor in health. So I don't hate Jeff Weltman looking at that Phoenix situation like, you know what, 2 years from now, that might go really bad. And if it does, this works out really well for us. And if it doesn't, and then, we only sent 3 second round picks that 2 out of the 3 aren't ours, and we're most likely not going to use anyway. So I find this to be a pretty savvy move. Probably will end up being nothing, but who knows? Maybe it's something.
Are you out on super teams in the NBA?
I wouldn't say that I'm out, just because of the fact that if you're able to accumulate that much talent on a team, it gives you a chance to contend. However, I find it pretty crazy for teams to look around the league at the apron and like what is coming, not this year, but the following year. Like, you know what, we're gonna commit to paying like 3 guys like $130 million. Like, to me, in this economy, that's pretty crazy. I just think they're not going to have any ability to build if guys aren't going there on minimum deals.
And very obviously, the building and the construction of super teams is a gamble. You're throwing so much money at such little volume. You just set yourself up for a lot of years of torture, and then in the future, especially if these guys, these stars, like they can't stay healthy. Whatever. We've seen it in LA with the Clippers, with Kawhi and Paul George. Those dudes can't stay healthy at all. They have bad luck on top of it in general. And Philly, another one, bringing in James Harden and having Joel Embiid, and definitely looked at, on the cusp of being a super team with Tobias Harris bringing up pretty great numbers as well in production.
Whoa. I'm going to stop you right there, Chief. Philly, no. You just put Tobias Harris in the conversation for super team. I got to pump the brakes. I love Tobias Harris.
To be fair, I said on the cusp.
On the cusp means like they could get there. You are not getting there. I am not putting Tobias Harris. Like, I just think today the Suns or Bleacher Report tweeted out a graphic of Beal, Booker, KD, and Bol. And I'm like, what are we doing here? That's what you just did with Tobias Harris.
No. Stop. Stop.
Tobias is better than Bol, but no. Brooklyn, I would say Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the other experiment that went very wrong.
Of course. And then if you go back earlier, obviously you've got the Lakers back in the day, but not even really back in the day. Nash, Dwight, Kobe, like awful. One of the first, like, this side of the 2000s super teams to literally do nothing. I read an article that was like listing the super teams that have failed, right? And they tried to go on and list like the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. I was like, no, they still did things. Like, I don't want to hear that they failed.
Well, the super team part was like when they went out and got like Gary Payton.
Right.
Well, what's the file's name? Karl Malone. That team, they lost to the Detroit Pistons. So that's kind of where that stems from. But before, like, Shaq and Kobe were doing damage.
And then you had the Brooklyn Nets in 13-14. Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, Paul Pierce, KG, Lopez. I just would be very worried if I were a team that put all of my chips in the middle of the table and said, we're all in, we're winning a championship with this group. If we don't, it's going to hurt. But we're going to do it. I would be very nervous because it's like, if you win, people say, yeah, of course you won. You should have won. If you lose, your front office is a bunch of clowns, and so are all the players and fans attached to it. That is why I'm pretty out on just super teams as a whole, because they've proven that a lot of the time they just don't work, and it's so hard to win a 7-game series in the NBA. Something is bound to go wrong, and at some point you have to lean on your depth to get you through injury luck and whatever that might be. Just not worth it, in my opinion.
I think the days of like trading for a super team or like signing guys to become a super team through free agency are dead. But like if you look back at, like the 2015, 2016, 2022 Warriors of like Steph, Clay, Draymond, like you put those guys in a vacuum and just say, hey, we put these 3 guys on a team. And you just look at what they've been able to do in their careers. Like that is a super team, but we don't think of it that way because it was like homegrown. I'm still for that. Like if we can do that here in Orlando,
of course,
with the guys we've got going on, I'm all for that. But yeah, here, cheers to hoping and praying on Phoenix's downfall the next few years, and we hope that Washington is bad enough so that they don't want the Phoenix pick, so that like in the 2026 draft lottery, we want the Washington Wizards to have the number 1 overall pick and the Phoenix Suns to have the number 2 overall pick. So we can swap and get that. That would be a pretty juicy scenario. And that's another thing. I don't think there are any protections on a pick swap, if I'm not mistaken. Like you get to choose like the better of the picks. But I could be wrong on that. So if we are, please let us know. Luke, this episode is brought to our wonderful listeners by our awesome patrons. If you haven't heard, we do have a Patreon community where you can help financially support the show. And this week, as we shout out all of our brand new patrons anytime that we have them, we have a special shout out for the Podfather, Philip Rossman Reich, who joined our All-Star tier. Really, really appreciate Philip joining. And if you guys haven't heard already, Philip also started his Patreon recently, so be sure to check that out. And then we shout out our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons on each and every episode. So we'll go ahead and start by shouting out the Court Cousins, and then our buddy Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, The Distract, Donkey Punch Dave, Paolo and Franz's Warmth, Pierre A, Nostalgia and M&M's, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Drummy, Drum, Danimal, Dutto15, Bobby Skinner, Goody 93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Giraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Hosea Squealan, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Ty Mr. TV, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Barus, Half Freakin', Shahin 177, Bulby the Don, Himlo, Ban Himro, Prov 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Spank Too Hard, Soft Taco, Jesse, Fuego Nando, Victor Cologne, Phantom Wolf 72, Iris Magic Mike, Austin Lampete, Random Hustle, Only France, Maria, Keith Wallace, Fritz, Currency Kevin, Bruv Sal. A big thank you to all of our patrons. You can find us at patreon.com/the6man-show. Luke, now that Summer League has come and gone, we still have, just over 2.5 months until Orlando Magic Media Day, and then training camp will get started, and then later that week or like the week after, we will have the preseason start. So really we don't have any Orlando Magic specific basketball going on for a little bit. However, we do have a lot of international basketball coming up in a little over, or just about 3 weeks now. We have really a handful of guys, or almost a handful of guys, it is a handful of guys that are going to be playing international basketball for one nation or another. Paolo Banchero going to be playing for Team USA in the FIBA World Cup. We've got Paolo. We already said Paolo. We have Franz. We have Mo Wagner that are going to be playing for Germany in the FIBA World Cup. We have Joe Ingles, who's going to be playing for Australia in the FIBA World Cup. And then we have Goga Batadze, who's going to be playing for the Republic of Georgia in the FIBA World Cup. So I was sitting around today, bored this Sunday afternoon. It's like, you know what? I want to go through every single game that these guys are going to be playing this summer and just kind of put the schedule out there for everyone so that you can start to make plans, or as we get closer to that, you can just kind of have your checklist. So you can be like, all right, I'm planning to watch this game and this game and this game and so on and so forth. So if you're listening to this and you don't already follow us on social media, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. We're on YouTube. If you're listening to this and you don't know we're on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube as well. But I posted the pre-FIBA World Cup schedule for all of the guys because there are sort of like warm-up games that these countries are going to be playing, just really to warm up and get ready for the FIBA World Cup. And then I also listed all of the FIBA World Cup games. So just a couple of things that are pretty interesting. So the first game on the schedule for guys from the Magic that are going to be playing internationally, the first game is coming up on August 5th. Mo and Franz are going to be playing for Germany versus Sweden. That game is going to be at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, talking about Team USA, Team USA is going to play on August 7th, by the way, in the Team USA Showcase. They're going to be playing versus Puerto Rico in Vegas. That game is going to tip off 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. 10 p.m. that is. I'm pretty positive that a lot of the Team USA showcase games are going to be televised here in the States. Now, the other games like Germany, Australia, Georgia, I don't really know how we are going to be able to watch those games pre-World Cup, but all of the World Cup games, and the World Cup is going to start on August 25th. The first game for anybody playing for the Magic is going to be August 25th. Australia is going to be playing Finland. That game is going to tip off, Luke, at 4 o'clock a.m. all of the FIBA World Cup games are going to be televised on ESPN Plus. So if you don't have ESPN Plus already and you're looking for a way to watch those games, just like set your alarm for August 24th and go ahead and sign up for ESPN Plus to be able to watch the FIBA World Cup. If you go and you look at this list, I have times for every single game except August 12th, USA versus Slovenia, and then August 13th, USA versus Spain. Both of those games are going to be taking place in Spain, but the times are not available just yet. They haven't been announced. And then another thing that's pretty interesting is August 18th, August 19th, and August 20th, the U.S. and Germany, as well as Greece and some other countries, are going to be taking place in like the Team USA showcase. Those games are going to be played in Abu Dhabi. So August 18th, USA versus Greece, that's going to tip off at 12 o'clock Eastern. August 19th, Germany versus Greece, that's going to tip off at 12 Eastern. And then August 20th, USA versus Germany, Paolo versus Franz and Moritz Wagner. Hello. That game is also going to be 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So games really being played all over the world over the course of August. Super excited about that. And then if you really just want to like follow like your favorite Magic player, I also posted like Team USA and Paolo's schedule, just Germany's schedule, just Australia's schedule, and just Georgia's schedule as well. All of that is all across our social media pages. So if you guys want to go ahead, check that out, bookmark that, whatever. I really just wanted it to be a resource for Magic fans to say like, hey, I want to watch basketball in August. I want to watch these guys play internationally. Who are they playing? Where are they playing? How can I watch it? That kind of thing. So going to be looking further into how we can watch some of those like pre-FIBA World Cup games for Australia, Germany, Georgia. If we get that information, we'll be sure to pass that information along.
And Jonathan, I am just taking a look at this beautiful graphic and schedule that you so clearly put together for the listeners and Magic fans and whoever might come across it. A lot of bookmarks on Twitter, by the way. More than the usual, for sure. People bookmarking it, wanting to come back for later, make sure they can refer to it throughout the World Cup, which is pretty cool. But as far as I was looking at Team USA, and maybe we've talked about it, maybe we haven't, but the group that the USA got, is every group that easy? Or I understand it wouldn't be that easy if Giannis was expected to play, but from everything I have read, Giannis is only going to play if he's 100% healthy, and they doubt that that's going to happen. So he's pretty much doubtful from what I've read, unless there's been news more recently. But you've got New Zealand, Greece, and Jordan. I was on a website looking at like a roster tracker that FIBA.basketball is doing. Greece, it says NA. Jordan, it says NA. And then New Zealand, I don't know if there's anybody from that team that I am familiar with. I don't think so. So Team USA should waltz through the group stages, even without having the big stars of the NBA, which shouldn't come as a surprise. But I do know Luka is going to play for Slovenia, which isn't shocking. Luka obviously has a lot of pride in his country and wants to represent them however he can. And Australia, though,
Stacked.
Pretty good. So, I mean, obviously you've got Josh Giddey, Patty Mills, even Dyson Daniels. I mean, I understand he's only played a year and he wasn't spectacular by any means. Still an NBA player. Matisse Thybulle, Joe Ingles, Matthew Dellavedova, Josh Green from the Mavs, Jock Landale, and Wizards forward Xavier Cooks. So that's a team to look out for. There's no doubt about it. I don't know who is in a group with Australia. It looks like Germany is.
Germany. Yeah, that's going to be a tough group.
Germany, Australia, and then Finland, Japan. So that should be interesting. But
yeah, luckily it's going to be the top two teams coming out of each group. Mm-hmm. So really, USA, not going to be a problem. For Germany, Australia, really not going to be a problem. Georgia is in a group with Slovenia and then Cape Verde and Venezuela. I don't really know too much about those other teams, but I would probably guess that Georgia is probably the second favorite behind Slovenia to come out of Group F. I mean, looking at Group E, which is Germany's group again, Germany, Finland, Australia, Japan, that's probably the toughest group, like outside of Group H, which has Canada, Latvia, Lebanon, and France. Canada and France obviously being the best two teams out of that bracket. Yeah, I mean, you've got Group G that has Spain. They're probably the favorite to come out of that bracket as well. But yeah, it's looking good for like the guys playing for the Magic in the group stages. Coming out of that and going into that second round will be a bit more interesting. But when I look at this schedule, what really pops out at me, Luke, is a lot of 4 a.m., 4:30, 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m., 4:40 a.m. Like August, I'm going to have to be going to bed very early most of August.
Well, listen, going through Australia's roster and seeing that, I'm like, Joe Ingles. I'm already getting the proud papa feeling because we got Joe Ingles on the Orlando Magic. And he's going to be representing his country. So I was like, let me go check the graphic, see what time Joe Ingles plays. Joe Ingles, from pre-World Cup to actual World Cup, 5:45 a.m., all the pre-FIBA World Cup games.
Three of
World Cup games? Three of them, yeah. Three of in the pre-FIBA. And then the FIBA, it's 4 a.m., 4:30, 7:10. That's very rough. Joe, I don't know if I'm going to get to see anything but highlights until the knockout rounds, because I love that you're in Orlando Magic. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, the issue is, these games are being played in East Asia, the Philippines, right, Japan, and Indonesia. So the time difference is pretty substantial. But we've had this conversation. I'm always excited for like the FIBA World Cup, to watch Team USA. I'm excited to watch Team USA in like the Olympics and stuff like that. But watching Eurobasket last summer, like I was talking to producer Kevin, we were doing the playback and we were going through like Germany's roster and seeing guys like, like Maudo Low, Obst, like a lot of these guys that we watched and cheered for Germany last year, pretty closely. I think I watched almost every one of those games after the fact, if not live. And I have to say, like, I have gained like a newfound love for like international basketball competition. Like it was a little bit different, like Eurobasket being in Germany last year. So like seeing the passion of the fans, I'm sure a lot of them will be traveling to Japan, to the Philippines, to Indonesia. But like seeing the passion from those fans, like I wish we had more of that here, because again, like Team USA basketball is just very much taken for granted because like, yeah, you won another gold. You were supposed to, like, of course. So I'm freaking pumped for this. Like I cannot wait. And one thing that I did not mention on this schedule is that Germany has a game August 12th, I believe, versus China. That's part of like German. I might butcher this. I think it's called German Super Cup. I could be mistaken on that. But that's like one of like they could potentially play two games. So there may be another German national team game after the 12th that they may play a part of that tournament. I could be wrong about that. I'm very much learning all this new, international competition stuff. But yeah, I'm freaking pumped for this. Like I can't say for sure that I'm going to be setting my alarm, for 4 a.m. Australia versus Finland. There's another one.
Are you setting your alarm
Germany
for
versus
4:40 a.m. USA versus Jordan?
I probably will, to be honest. Like, obviously, love Joe Ingles, love Goga Batadze. I'm Franz and Mo and Paolo playing for their respective countries to me is going to be appointment television. Like that. I really hate. I'm going to be doing it.
I really hate that Germany and Australia is at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Germany and Australia should be a lot of fun. And I would love to see it. But 4:30 in the morning, man, I don't know about that. And I can assure you, on my birthday, Jonathan, Germany versus Finland, 3:30 a.m. ain't happening. That's not happening.
I'll be up early wishing you a happy birthday then, I guess. Another one on here that's interesting is August 28th, Georgia versus Slovenia, which is going to be Goga versus Luka. And that game is going to be at 8:40. So, 7:30. So pretty reasonable time. And normally you would be like, oh, Goga versus Luka. Like, who really cares about that? But like, don't sleep on these European guys when they're playing for their home countries. Like, they have a tendency sometimes to absolutely ball out. So don't just think, oh, it's Luka's going to kill that team. They might not. You never really know. And this is, I believe, Georgia's first FIBA World Cup. So like, they're all going to be super pumped. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just really excited for international basketball in August. Like, we have, if we can find a way to watch these sort of like pre-FIBA World Cup games for like Germany and Australia, again, I think the Team USA games are all going to be televised. They almost always are. Like, it's going to be a really fun August. Like, this is going to be great to get us through like what is usually one of the most dead parts of the summer. And then we're just going to have to sit here like this through September. Well, who knows? Some of these guys, Paolo, Franz, or maybe even Joe Ingles, they may be playing like, into the first couple of weeks of September as well if they go deep into the FIBA World Cup.
And the last thing I'll add, you talk about guys that just step up for their country, and there's just also certain guys thrive way more in international play than they do in like an NBA setting. Gogo Batadze played in Eurobasket for Georgia last year. And in that, he averaged 10 points, 6.3 rebounds, and a sneaky 2 assists. 1.8. Gogo was slanging it throughout Eurobasket. Yeah. So that's it is going to be a lot of fun. And it really is. I don't know if, I'm sure FIBA did this. Obviously, they do this on purpose because they have NBA players. But it is very intelligent and very smart for it to be right before the season, a little primer, and they know NBA fans are just chomping at the bit to watch their team play basketball. What's the next best thing? Watching their players represent their countries in these crazy tournaments where there's 3:30 a.m. starts and then some manageable ones. I'm gonna have people walk in my office at work, and I'm gonna have to explain. Hey, listen, I'm getting my stuff done, but don't worry about it. I'm watching Georgia play basketball right now. And it's not the Bulldogs.
Watching Georgia versus Slovenia right now. Mind your business, Susan. So yeah, like Germany, USA, like Paolo and Franz, who knows if they're going to play like all of those pre-FIBA World Cup games. But like, if they do, each of like Franz, Mo, Paolo, each of those guys is going to have like 8 games at least, plus, the group stage. Like Australia, USA, Germany, I would pretty much bet everything on those guys getting out of the group stage. I just don't know enough about Venezuela and Cape Verde to say for sure that Georgia will come out of that group, but I would probably guess so.
Should we real quick? Are we covering anything else on this episode, Jonathan, or is FIBA? This is kind of the last
only
thing?
Other thing that I was going to say is like the playbacks have been a ton of fun, and we're going to be looking in to see if we can do playbacks for this. Probably like the Team USA showcase games will be the easiest to do pre-FIBA World Cup if they're televised. With the other games being on ESPN Plus, not entirely sure how that's going to work with the FIBA World Cup games. We would love to do playbacks, but we don't know yet. So just kind of, keep your ears open.
So what I want to touch on here is the odds for FIBA. They've got them.
You
here.
would.
Obviously USA is the favorite. -150, not a huge favorite, but they are a favorite. Slovenia +900, Canada +600. Let's see who else. Germany +2,500. So Germany has the 9th best odds.
I kind of like that.
I don't hate it.
Like putting $20 on Germany, letting it ride.
Yep. So I mean,
they added Maxi Kleber to their roster. Mo Wagner, who didn't play in Eurobasket last year, is going to be playing. Franz Wagner's probably going to take another leap. Dennis Schroeder's on that team. Like,
yeah, 20
Germany
wins
is
you
stacked.
20 wins you 500, Jonathan. So it might be worth it. It also, because the USA aren't like minus 400, worth throwing something on USA as well. Minus 150. Not terrible.
Yeah.
Not terrible at all. So
minus 130, 50 will get you like what, 40 something dollars?
50. So they're minus 150. So 50 gets you 33.
Okay. I'm looking at DraftKings where they're 130.
Okay, so different odds.
I'm not good at odds math. I'm not good at regular math either. So
yeah, so like on Bovada, 100 wins you 66. Did you say on DraftKings they're minus 130?
Yes.
So for those that you view that can do it, do not use Bovada for that, because I'm sure if you can do it in your state, then you won't even look at Bovada. You're looking at DraftKings, but much better odds there. Minus 130.
We're the real degenerates.
That's right. Get busy on the minus 130. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, Luke, I think that's it for us. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Looking forward to international basketball coming up here in about 3 weeks. And yeah, we will be back Thursday with another episode. That's going to do it for this one. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!